X-Men 97 has wrapped up, and if you've seen it, you know that it's jam-packed with Easter eggs and cameos. So I've decided to compile them all into one big video. So, without any further ado, here we go. Here's every cameo and Easter egg you missed in X-Men 97. I'm going to be including every character except for the main cast, and this cameo counter is going to help us keep track. Oh, and spoilers ahead. Okay, with that out of the way, let's start collecting cameos like they're Pokemon. Okay, let's start with the intro of the very first episode. Starting from left to right, we've got Juggernaut, also known as Kane Marco. Although my man Kane is on the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, he is actually not a mutant. Juggernaut actually has his powers from a magic gem from the Temple of Sidorak that gives him his super strength and super durability. Up next, we've got Emma Frost, who's a powerful telepath. On top of that, she also has a power to turn diamond, which we will see in a later episode. To her right is Lady Deathstrike, who's got a bunch of cybernetic enhancements and really sharp claws, and she also really hates Wolverine. Up next, we've got Pyro. True to his name, I'm sure you can imagine, he controls fire. Mystique, or Raven Darkholm, is a shape-shifting mutant that I'm sure many of you know. She's made a ton of appearances in all the X-Men movies. I was honestly a little surprised that she didn't show up at all in this show. I definitely thought that Val was secretly Mystique the whole time. Next up is Sabretooth, who also hates Wolverine. Unsurprisingly, I guess. He's got super strength, super reflexes, super healing, basically the same powers as Wolverine. Except for the claw. All right, last and possibly least, we have Avalanche. He's got the power to make seismic waves, which cause earthquakes, tremors, and, you guessed it, avalanches. Special shout out to Magneto, who is the only one here that's not a cameo. All right, moving into the episode, we've got Leech and Callisto. They're both Morlocks, and they both will appear again in the series. In a blink it or miss it moment, you can catch a Daily Bugle newspaper in episode 1 as well. From left to right, the mutants on the newspaper are Loa, Lin Lee, Stacy X, Banshee, Maggot, and Dust. About halfway through the episode, we get our very first morph transformation as they turn into Angel, who can fly, to catch Wolverine. Shortly after that, they turn into the Blob, also to combo with Wolverine for a cool attack. At the very end of the episode, you may have gotten a glimpse at a photograph in the professor's office. It shows the original X-Men team, who are, from left to right, Beast, Angel, Jean Grey, Cyclops, and our new addition, Iceman, who, as you can imagine, has the power to manipulate ice and turn into ice. Man. All right, starting up episode 2 in the intro this time, we've got Dark Phoenix. Honestly, I'm not sure if this one counts as a cameo, because on one hand, it is the Phoenix, and the Dark Phoenix is technically a different character from the Phoenix, who is maybe also technically a different character from Jean Grey, who is a recurring character in the show. I think I'm going to count it. All right. And later on in the intro, in another blink and you'll miss it moment, we can see Storm taking out Callisto. And behind her, we can see the Morlocks Ape, Leech, Sunder, Tommy, and Erg. We're going to see Callisto, Leech, Ape, and Erg again shortly in the same episode when they're getting threatened by the Friends of Humanity. And we're going to see Erg, Leech, Callisto, and Tommy huddled together later on in the episode. But again, these are all duplicates, so no points. During the fight scene later this episode, Morph transforms into Lady Deathstrike, then Colossus, then Psylocke. Psylocke is one of my favorite characters. She's a telepath and she can summon really cool psychic blades. Also, side note, how the heck does Morph get swords when they transform? Do they also like transform with swords and all clothing and the swords? Anyway, I'm overthinking it. Let's move on. I also wrote down here in my notes that this NB icon turns into Sabretooth later this episode as well, but I can't find it for some reason. Maybe I'm blind? Either way, Sabretooth is already counted, so let's just keep moving. In the next episode, Morph briefly transforms into Spiral, who kind of looks like a sexier version of Machamp from Pokemon. Later on in the episode, when the X-Men are fighting against the Goblin Queen, Morph once again transforms, this time into the X-Men sorcerer Magic. When Madeline takes control of Morph, they transform again, this time into Magic, but her Dark Child persona, which is her dark magic possessed semi-demon form, which is pretty fitting. Technically the same character, so no points again. Heading into the next episode, in the intro, we've got some more cameos. I think this blonde gentleman right here is Longshot. Initially, I thought it was Havoc, but I think he's actually Longshot, who previously appeared in an episode alongside Jubilee fighting Mojo. Later on in the intro, we get our first look at Havoc, who shoots concussive blasts like his brother Cyclops, and Polaris, who is Magneto's daughter, and she also controls magnetic fields. I'm not gonna lie, I was really confused about who this was, but after some digging, I have concluded that this was Iceman with no ice, which is a dupe, so no points for Iceman. Also, we've got Forge and Wolverine here in the back, both of whom are recurring characters. All right, and for last episode 4 intro sequence, we've got the Inner Circle with Emma Frost, who we've talked about already, and Sebastian Shaw, and alongside him are, I don't know who these guys are, Harry Leland and Donald Pierce. And heading into the episode itself, in the first Genosha hologram sequence, we've got Thunderbird, who you can tell from the costume here. In the following scene, we get the Blob, who is a dupe, unfortunately, Domino, the mutant with luck-based powers, and Sunfire, the mutant with, well, solar fire powers, not to be confused with Sunspot. All right, moving on, in the player select screen later this episode, you can make out from left to right Jubilee, Colossus, Roberto, Magic, Longshot, and somebody who looks like Cable. Either way, all of these guys are either recurring characters or dupes, so again, no points. In the background of the dystopian street level, you can make out a wanted poster that's got some cameos on it. From left to right, they are Cyclops, Colossus, Storm, Nightcrawler, Angel, Iceman, Beast, Shadowcat, who is a new addition. Kitty Pryde has the power to phase through walls. Gambit, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Wolverine, Professor X, Polaris, Havoc, and Banshee. I also just realized that this is the first appearance of the Maximoff twins. I'm sure you guys are familiar with these two from their appearances in the MCU or in other media. But anyways, gonna go ahead and add +2 to our counter. There's another Spiral cameo. This time it's the real Spiral. And in the Savage Land level, Jubilee and Roberto face off against Sauron. No, not that one. There's also a brief image that shows some X-Men on the team. Aside from Jubilee, Storm, and Rogue, we have Darwin, who is a new addition, as well as Northstar. In the second half of this episode, if you pay close attention to Forge's wall, you'll notice some photographs. In the first of these photographs, they show Forge's team X Factor. And from left to right, the members are Quicksilver, Forge, Havoc, Polaris, and Strong Guy, Wolfsbane, and Multiple Man. Honestly, I feel like these guys' powers are self-explanatory. In this picture that was taken on my flip phone, you can clearly see a cameo of the major villain of this series, Dr. Adler. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Obviously, you can see Bastion, but Bastion's a recurring character, so for our purposes, we are going to skip Bastion. Okay, we're at our halfway point, and the Genosha episode is filled with cameos. So if I miss any, feel free to leave a comment down below. Our first cameo is from a character called Gargoyle. I imagine you cannot guess how this name is spelled. All right, in the next scene, we've got Leech, who we have met before, Galob Herman, who we have not met before, as well as Pixie. And they are accompanied by, well, I believe she's a new character, so I'm just going to go ahead and call her Bird Girl. In the next scene after that, we've got another look at Lin Lee, or Nature Girl. Later on, we get a dance montage that once again features Multiple Man, as well as Exodus, and he is accompanied by Cypher and Dazzler, and later Boom Boom as well. There's also a water mutant guy that I think is supposed to be Washout, so I'm going to go ahead and count him as well. During the Quiet Council meeting, we are once again met with Emma Frost and Sebastian Shaw, as well as Callisto and Banshee, which is interesting that he shows up to these meetings in Banshee costume. But aside from them, we also have a new cameo, Laura McTaggart, who, as they mention in the show, is not a mutant. During Rogue's expositional flashback scene, we also get to see who she calls as her evil mom. I'm assuming this is Mystique, but I'm not sure. Either way, we have Mystique already, so let's just keep moving. Before the party, during the fireworks sequence, if you squint really hard at the sky, you can make out what clearly seems to be a watcher, specifically Uatu, the Watcher. This one's really hard to spot, and I hope you guys appreciate it because I feel like I got eye damage looking for this clip. There's a bunch of cameos during the party, but the only new one I was able to spot was Squid Boy, who is a squid and a boy. Here's a pic of Marrow getting rescued by Banshee. Well, I say rescue because they are both moments away from getting hit by 9th level Disintegrate. The last cameo of episode 5 before everyone gets blown up by Sentinels is Scaleface, who I believe is also our last Morlock cameo in this show. Another intro cameo. Here we have Nimrod, who is the ultimate sentinel from the future. Here we have Ronan the Accuser. You might know him from his MCU appearance. Shortly after Ronan's appearance, Deathbird shows up, and she attacks this guy who I think is Marvel. Well, I'm not sure because he doesn't do anything besides get wrecked. So, I mean, his costume is distinct from the other Kree goons, but he could just be a random high ranking Kree soldier. Let's count it. All right, and here we've got our first good look at the Imperial Guard. And they are Gladiator, Titan, Manta, Smasher, Warstar, Starbolt, Flashfire, Vulcan, and Earthquake. These guys are kind of like the Space Avengers, and their leader, Gladiator, is kind of like Imperialist Superman. Episode 7 opens with the funeral of Gambit. So, the Assassin's Guild from Gambit's past have gathered to mourn him. We have Pierre, Cuesta, Bobby LeBeau, who is Gambit's brother, and Belladonna, who is Gambit's childhood love. In her grief, Rogue breaks into a government facility and interrogates General Ross, who may or may not become the Red Hulk in this universe. In the next scene, yeah, I have no idea who this is. All right, we're back in Genosha, my personal hell, and here we have Multiple Man hiding, as well as the Blob, and our new addition, Barbaris, who is a Savage Land mutate, like Sauron. Also helping out the Genosha refugees, we can spot Angel Salvador, Amelia Vaught, and in a flashback sequence, we have more Savage Land mutates. Brainchild, Amphibious, and Lupo, and Mimic as well. Strong Guy makes another appearance here as well. Shout out to Nando V Movies, who I heard likes Strong Guy. As previously alluded to in this video, Emma Frost goes diamond form. To close off episode 7, we have a morph cameo. Here, they transform into Quicksilver. In episode 8, it's revealed that Bastion has Magneto chained up. And with Bastion is the cameo you've all been waiting for, Daria! Yeah! Anyway, Daria is Bastion's assistant. In Cable's future vision, we get cameos of Rachel Summers, who is Cyclops and Jean's Days of Future Past, alternate future child. That's a sentence. As well as Old Polaris. In the background on a TV, we can see William Stryker, who is a mutant hater. Next, we're going to head on over to Bastion's house, where we can see what appears to be a Machine Man toy. It seems Machine Man inspired the design of the Sentinels. When Bastion is talking to his evil cabal, we see some nice villain cameos. And here we have the one and only Doctor Doom, followed by Baron Zemo. And, well, honestly, I don't know who this is. IMDb lists her as Chinese OZT member. She's played by Holly Chow, who also plays Jubilee. So, I guess Asian lady? No point. Of course, no episode is complete without a morph cameo. So here they are, turned into Juggernaut, smashing into Nightcrawler. And for our last 3 big cameos, we've got Silver Samurai, who, interestingly enough, also showed up in Hit Monkey. So I'm wondering if Hit Monkey will cross over. Also, Spider-Man from the 90s TV show specifically, it seems like, as well as Omega Red, who is about to prove he can break these cuffs. Fortunately for my sanity, the only cameo in episode 9 is when Morph transforms into the Incredible Hulk. All right, heading into the finale, we're going to start with Silver Samurai once again, followed by Iron Man in his classic outfit, and Captain America, who we got previously, and Daredevil, the man without fear, followed by Doctor Strange doing some magic surgery. Cloak and Dagger, with the powers of darkness and light respectively, show up to bail out Daredevil. And it seems like the Sentinel invasion is affecting more than just New York. So Black Panther and Wakanda, along with the Dora Milaje, are also forced to confront the Sentinels as well. Meanwhile, we can see Psylocke and her team are also dealing with the Sentinels. Accompanied by Psylocke are Cypher and North Star, all 3 of which we've already documented. And they are accompanied by Aurora, as well as Puck, who is hiding. Over with Omega Red, he's beating up some Sentinels with Crimson Dynamo and Dark Star. Later in the episode, in a conversation with the president, Black Panther is revealed to be T'Chaka, as opposed to T'Challa from the MCU. Either way, we've got Black Panther already, so no points. In Magneto's mindscape, we can make out a brief image of the people Magneto cares most about. Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, and Polaris, who are his kids, as well as Rogue. He calls out Rogue specifically, which is kind of funny because, the other 3 characters are literally his kids. Magneto definitely needs to go to horny jail. We've got our last morph cameo as they turn into Sauron for an easy landing. Unfortunately, also a dupe, so again, no points. During the events of Asteroid M, we can briefly catch a view of Peter Parker, or Spider-Man, as well as his girlfriend, Mary Jane, and in the background, Flash Thompson as well. After the X-Men mysteriously disappear on Asteroid M, in Forge's lab, we get a glimpse of a board that contains 24 mutants, as Forge tries to assemble a new X-Men team. Unfortunately for the counter, all of these guys are dupes, so I'm just going to quickly go through them. They are, from left to right, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Storm, Beast, Magneto, Nightcrawler, Jubilee, and Sunspot. All of these guys are marked missing as they're on Asteroid M, except for Jubilee and Sunspot, who are marked AWOL. On the second row, we have Xavier, Scarlet Witch, Colossus, Morph, Rogue, Dust, Archangel, and Magic. It says here Scarlet Witch is off-world, whereas Colossus, Dust, and Magic are available. Archangel is also marked as missing, presumed dead. So maybe Archangel unfortunately perished in Genosha. Finally, in row 3, we have Wolverine, Iceman, Havoc, Cable, Exodus, Quicksilver, Shadowcat, and Emma Frost. Iceman, Havoc, Exodus, Shadowcat, and Emma seem to be alive, so maybe next season we'll see the formation of a new X-Men team with some of the members on the board. In the future timeline, Scott and Jean meet up with a character named Mother Ascani, who is actually Rachel Summers, who we previously discussed is their child in the Apocalypse timeline. In the past timeline, we meet Ansabanur, who is Apocalypse, who I imagine will become a major antagonist in the next season. Apocalypse then leads the X-Men to a strange spherical pyramid, I guess. It's not really a pyramid because it's not a pyramid, but this is likely the domain of Rama Tut, who is a Kang variant. And I suspect Rama Tut Kang will play a big role in the next season as well because horizontal marketing. And for our very last cameo, in the present day, Apocalypse finds a single card in the ruins of Genosha, which foreshadows the arrival of Gambit's return as Death, one of the horsemen of Apocalypse. And that's it. That's every cameo in X-Men 97. Our grand total was... Hey, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. This took a long time for me to put together, so if you like this video, I'd appreciate if you could subscribe and share this video with your friends. Other than that, I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!